Welcome to my channel Starlight Sci-Fi Stories. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. The Hall of Ascension floated in open space. There were no walls, no ceiling, no floor that touched the ground. Only a vast circular platform of white light surrounded by a transparent energy field. Beyond it stretched the universe, stars burning like distant fires, galaxies turning in slow spirals, silent and endless. This was where rulers were chosen. Thousands had gathered. Tier upon tier of alien nobles stood on rising rings of black crystal around the platform. Their bodies came in many forms, tall and silver, scaled and armored, glowing with inner light or wrapped in living metal. Some had eyes like suns. Some had none at all. All of them carried power. War power, blood power, ancient power. Above them all hovered a throne shaped from condensed starlight. Upon it sat Empress Thalera, ruler of the Xyranthian dominion for 400 years. Her presence bent the air itself. Her thoughts pressed against every mind in the chamber. Cold, heavy, absolute. At the center platform stood one figure alone. Princess Liari. She stood straight, hands folded behind her back, though her fingers trembled. She was young for her kind, not yet a full century old. Her skin shimmered pale blue, marked with faint lines of light that had not fully brightened into the glowing patterns of adulthood. The nobles noticed. They always noticed weakness. Today was the choosing. An heir to the dominion could not rule alone. Tradition demanded a bonded consort, a partner strong enough in mind and body to stand beside the throne. Noble houses would step forward to claim her or reject her. Liari already knew the outcome. She had commanded fleets, yes. She had studied war, strategy, and conquest. But she had also done something unforgivable. She had shown mercy. Empress Thalera's voice rolled across the void. The choosing begins. A low hum filled the hall. The first noble stepped forward. Lord Vekran of House Talkir, towering. His armor was made from the shells of a species he had personally wiped out. His voice was sharp and proud. I refuse. The word echoed like a hammer strike. The princess delayed planetary cleansing on Orin 5. She chose negotiation instead of extermination. She is unfit to breed conquerors. Murmurs of agreement spread. Liari did not move. The second noble stepped forward. Lady Zyrth, matriarch of a gene-forged war lineage. I refuse. The princess ordered medical aid for captured rebels. Compassion is inefficiency. More murmurs. The third. I refuse. She spared a surrendering fleet. The fourth. I refuse. She values alien lives over dominion glory. Each rejection was a psychic blow. Liari felt their thoughts scraping against her mind, judging, measuring, condemning. Too soft. Too kind. Too human. She had walked through ruined cities after orbital bombardments. She had seen oceans boil. She had heard children cry in languages that died hours later. If ruling meant becoming the monster that did that without hesitation, then maybe she was not meant to rule. One by one, the nobles stepped forward. One by one, they refused her. At last, silence fell. Not one house remained. Thousands of nobles, zero willing to stand beside her. High above, Empress Thalera rose from her throne. The air trembled. By ancient law, she declared, an heir rejected by all houses forfeits claim to the throne. Liari felt the words like ice in her chest. She had prepared for war. She had prepared for death. She had not prepared to be erased quietly. The Empress lifted her hand to pronounce judgment. And then, wait. The voice was not telepathic. It was spoken aloud. Every head turned. At the outer edge of the hall, among foreign observers, stood a single human. No armor, no glowing weapons, no psychic presence, Just a man in a dark uniform, with a small blue and green Earth emblem on his shoulder. Commander Aaron Hale, Terran Expeditionary Corps. He looked very small. Lord Vecran hissed, "Human, this is not your place." Aaron's heart pounded so hard he thought he might faint. The psychic pressure in the hall felt like deep water crushing his skull. But he stepped forward anyway. Boots echoing softly, he crossed the smooth floor toward the central platform. Every instinct screamed at him to kneel in fear. He kept walking. "I request permission to speak," he said, voice tight but steady. A long pause followed. Then the Empress answered, her voice filling his mind like thunder. "Speak, human." Aaron stopped at the edge of Liari's platform. He could feel her presence now, not cold like the others, but warm and very, very tired. He turned so all the nobles could see his face. "I'm not a noble," he said. "I don't have ancient bloodlines or psychic power. I don't command star empires." A few nobles laughed quietly. Aaron ignored them. "But I have fought in wars," he continued. "I've seen what happens when leaders stop seeing people and start seeing numbers on a screen." The hall grew quieter. "On my first deployment," he said, "my unit was ordered to destroy a city controlled by rebels. Airstrike, quick, easy, no survivors." His jaw tightened. "Our captain refused. She said there were civilians, families, kids. She went in on the ground instead. We took losses. She died saving people she didn't even know." He swallowed. "Those people, they helped us later, gave us intel, protected our wounded. That region is stable today because someone chose mercy when cruelty was easier." He turned toward Liari. "I read your mission reports, Princess. The ceasefires, the food shipments, the worlds you saved instead of burning." A noble spat, weakness. Aaron shook his head. "No, that's strength that builds something after the war ends." He stepped forward onto the platform. Gasps spread through the hall. No outsider had ever entered the choosing. Aaron dropped to one knee. The sound echoed across the stars. "I claim no right to rule," he said, bowing his head. "I ask no throne, but I will stand beside someone who protects the helpless, even when it costs them everything." Ancient systems in the platform flickered to life. Symbols, long dormant, began to glow. Empress Thalara leaned forward slightly. "Human," she said slowly, "do you understand the law you invoke?" Aaron's throat was dry. "Yes, your radiance." He understood enough. "If the princess accepts," the Empress continued, "you will be bound, her life before yours, her enemies your enemies, her death your end." The nobles watched eagerly. "Let the fragile human run." Aaron lifted his head. "I understand." Liari stared at him, stunned. "No one," she whispered softly, "has ever chosen me." Aaron gave a small, nervous smile. "Yeah, I've never been great at safe choices." A faint, surprised laugh escaped her. It was the first warm sound the hall had heard in centuries. She stepped closer. "If I accept," she said, voice trembling, "your mind will link with mine, your body will change. You may never see Earth again." Aaron thought of blue oceans, rain, coffee, his brother's terrible jokes. Then he thought of burned alien cities. "I've already left parts of myself on battlefields," he said quietly. "Might as well leave the rest for something that matters." He bowed his head again. "I accept the cost." The Empress watched carefully. "Princess Liari," she intoned, "the choice is yours." The entire hall went silent. Slowly, Liari raised her glowing hand and placed it on Aaron's head. "I accept." Light exploded across the platform. Ancient symbols blazed. Energy surged through Aaron like liquid fire. He screamed as something deep in his cells rewrote itself. Memories flooded him, stars he had never seen, languages he did not know, emotions not his own. Loneliness. Duty. Hope buried under centuries of war. Liari's feelings. The light faded. Aaron collapsed, breathing hard. But he was alive. And when he looked up, his eyes carried a faint silver glow. The bond was complete. Silence ruled the hall. Then the nobles erupted in fury. Insult. Blasphemy. A human consort. But Empress Thalera stood, and the noise died instantly. The choosing is concluded, she declared. Her gaze swept over the nobles like a blade. Remember this moment, you rejected her. Far beyond the hall, in the dark edges of the Dominion, powerful houses began to move fleets. Because they feared something more dangerous than a cruel ruler. They feared a kind one. And now she had a human at her side. The first assassination attempt came 3 days after the choosing. Aaron felt it before he saw it. A sharp spike of fear that wasn't his. A flash of danger, like a reflex that did not belong to his human senses. He turned just as a maintenance drone in the palace corridor split open, revealing a hidden plasma blade. He shoved Liari aside. The blade passed through his shoulder instead of her chest. Security forces destroyed the drone instantly, but Aaron barely noticed. He was on his knees, breathing hard, silver light flickering faintly under his skin where the wound tried to close itself. Liari knelt beside him, eyes wide. You sensed it. Aaron winced. Yeah, guess I've got the deluxe alien upgrade package now. She did not smile. This will not stop, she said quietly. They will keep trying. I figured, he said. Good thing humans are stubborn. The noble houses did not protest openly. Not at first. They smiled in court, they bowed, they followed tradition. Then their fleets began to move. Border garrisons loyal to Liari reported training exercises near their systems. Supply lines went missing. Governors received private messages urging them to reject the soft air. Whispers spread through the Dominion. A compassionate ruler will make us weak. A human consort will poison our future. Liari spent long hours in the strategy chambers, staring at star maps. Aaron stayed beside her, learning faster than he thought possible as the bond fed him flashes of understanding. You could crush them now, Aaron said one night, looking at the highlighted rebel sectors. You've got the fleets. Yes, Liari replied softly, and prove them right. He sighed. Yeah, that's the problem with being the good guys. The breaking point came at Veli's prime. A midrim world, industrial, densely populated. Its governor declared loyalty to Liari publicly. Hours later, a noble fleet entered orbit without permission. They claim rebellion, an officer reported. They are preparing orbital bombardment. Liari's hands clenched. There is no rebellion. It does not matter, Aaron said grimly. They want you to either let it burn or start a civil war by attacking them. A trap. If she did nothing, millions would die and her reputation would shatter. If she attacked, the nobles would claim she had turned on her own people. Aaron met her eyes. What kind of ruler do you want to be? She did not hesitate. Prepare my ship. The royal cruiser Dawn's Promise dropped from hyperspace directly between the noble fleet and the planet. Gasps filled command decks across the system. Liari opened a channel. This is Princess Liari of the Zyranthian Dominion, she said. Stand down. There is no rebellion here. A cold voice answered, Lord Vekran. You protect traitors, you prove our point. Behind him, weapons charged. Aaron felt it again, that surge of danger through the bond. They're firing, he warned. Liari did not move. Hold position, she ordered her crew. Her officers stared at her in horror. Your Highness. Hold. The first salvo of plasma lances streaked toward her ship. Aaron's heart slammed in his chest. At the last second, defense screens flared. The cruiser shook violently but held. Across open channels, Veli's Prime's defense platforms came online. Civilian ships moved into orbit. Mining vessels, cargo haulers, old patrol craft. They formed a shield in front of the planet. A message spread across all frequencies. She came for us, we stand for her. Lord Vecran hesitated. He had expected fear. Instead, he saw loyalty. Real loyalty. Not forced, not conquered. Chosen. More system defense fleets jumped in neighboring worlds Liari had helped in the past, worlds she had spared, fed, protected. They did not fight for the Dominion. They fought for her. Aaron stared at the tactical display in awe. You didn't build an empire, he whispered. You built friends. Liari swallowed. I only did what was right. Yeah, Aaron said softly. Turns out that's scarier than war. Outnumbered and facing a spreading uprising, the noble fleet retreated. The first battle of the civil conflict ended not with annihilation, but with people choosing a side. The war did come after that, but it was not the war the nobles expected. World after world refused to support the old houses. Supply chains broke. Soldiers defected. Entire fleets surrendered rather than fire on systems that sheltered refugees. Every time a noble tried to rule through fear, Liari countered with aid ships, open negotiations, and something the Dominion had not seen in centuries. Apologies. Aaron fought too. Not with psychic power or royal authority, but with human experience. He worked with mixed crews, solved disputes, shared tactics humans used in peacekeeping missions. Your soldiers are loyal because they fear punishment, he told one Xyranthian general. Ours are loyal because they trust the person next to them. Big difference. Slowly, painfully, the Dominion began to change. The final confrontation returned them to where it had begun. The Hall of Ascension. Noble houses that once stood proud now stood divided, some still angry, some uncertain, some quietly ashamed. At the center platform stood Liari and Aaron together. Empress Thalera watched from her throne, silent. Lord Vecran stepped forward one last time. You have weakened us, he said. You replaced fear with feelings. Liari met his gaze calmly. And yet more worlds stand with me than ever stood with you. You would make us like humans, he sneered. Aaron raised an eyebrow, could do worse. A few nervous laughs echoed. The Empress finally rose. For the first time, her psychic presence felt tired. I ruled through strength, she said, through conquest, through fear. Her eyes shifted to Liari. You rule through loyalty freely given. She lifted the imperial sigil, a burning symbol of command. I see now which lasts longer. She stepped down from the throne and placed the sigil in Liari's hands. I abdicate. Shock rolled through the hall. Liari froze. Mother. This is not surrender, Thalera said quietly. It is evolution. She turned to the nobles. You rejected her because she was kind. Her gaze sharpened. You mistook kindness for weakness. She looked at Aaron. And you mistook humans for small. A faint smile touched her lips. That was your greatest error. Liari took the throne. Not with roaring applause, but with something new. Hope. Aaron stood beside her, not above, not behind. Beside. Years later, historians would argue about when the Dominion truly changed. Some said it was the defense of Veli's Prime. Some said it was the Empress's abdication. But those who had been in the hall that first day knew the truth. It began when thousands of powerful nobles refused a compassionate princess. And one human stood up and said, "She won't stand alone." The end.